everybody. This is Amanda Hosenfeld from Compliance Live. This week, we had the opportunity to sit down with our co-CEOs and chief servants, Nick Gallo and Gio Gallo, for a candid conversation about culture, ComplianceLine, and their journey into servanthood.
A lot of people are always talking about, this is your work life and this is your home life, and you have to have a work-life balance. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because it's one life. Like, to make these distinctions and so forth, like if you have a problem at home, you're bringing that to work, and if you have a problem at work, you're just naturally going to bring that home. We're not automatons that we can just shut off.
It's hard to compartmentalize like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think to the extent that sort of leaders in organizations can recognize that that cultural element really has a multiplicative effect on the effectiveness, essentially, of whatever whatever service they're providing, then these guys in these HR offices and compliance offices can now get a little bit more attention to be unleashed to make that sort of, multiplicative impact on their organization.
Yeah, and what I really like about this, we've been talking about, Nick's and my role here, and we started talking about chief servants and stuff like that. But what I really love is our team here at ComplianceLine. Nick and I didn't make this up. The people who are here, the people who come here, the people who succeed here, they live this as well. And, we're just a part of that team helping to move that forward. But when Nick and I got here, there were a bunch of people already with this heart that care about the people who call into our hotline, or we provide service through Sanction Check, or just our clients themselves. And, it's really fulfilling, and it's just encouraging to see a bunch of people living that out. You guys do it yourselves, and a bunch of people on our team do. Versus, Nick and I trying to drag some people into some concept that we feel like is a cool tagline.
Yeah, I think you guys do a really good job making it easy for employees to enjoy coming to work, because you foster this culture that modern day society wants today.
Right.
I think people in the workplace kind of crave
adaptive,
space,
understanding.
You want to come to work, you want to be yourself. No one wants to put their work hat on and then have to take it off at the end of the day. We can.
It's brutal.
It is.
Yeah.
So I think that you do a really good job of that.
Well, thank you. I mean, you kind of touched on an important piece of this whole equation, and that's this sort of facade that we all kind of put on, and we have that same facade when you meet somebody new for the first time. That's why you don't have those authentic connections, right? But if you contrast that with your sister or your best friend, someone where none of that sort of facade is in place, it's all melted away, your authentic self, well, that's who people actually like. That's that is the person that has the gifts. To the extent that you're wrapping that person in armor because you're insecure, or you don't feel safe, or am I going to get fired today, or whatever, or is this person going to judge me? All those things end up kind of dampening the gifts that you can shine out into the world. So if we can remove those and truly make people feel safe and focus on that feeling, then it really unleashes people. And we've seen that over the last few years.
And you guys really focus on making sure employees have good relationships with their peers. And I think maybe other workplaces so I think maybe don't care about that as much.
Well, I think that may come back to our family, right? Growing up,
did you have to get along?
Oh, you are not allowed to fight. Okay, that's our mom's thing.
And we didn't always get it right, but that was the message.
Yeah, and so if that's not an option, then you have to figure out ways to work it out and so forth. And I think that forced us at a young age to understand that there's sort of differences between people, and there's a way to work it out, and there's complementary, gifts or whatever. But we got to get along. If there's fighting on our team, then how are we going to live out our vision to make this impact in the world that we're trying to make?
And it gets to that transactional thing, because if you're just, my hired driver for the next 3 minutes, or you're my vendor and I'm going to renew or not renew my SaaS subscription every month or whatever, then it's all right, well, we don't have to get along. I don't like how this thing is done, so I'm walking away.
Right.
But, within our work family here, obviously everyone's kind of free to leave if they want to, but people who are on our team, we have to figure out a way to get along.
Yeah.
And part of that kind of gets back to this thing that like you said, people are different. They have their own personalities and styles and communication styles and stuff like that. Let's learn to work with that, because when everyone is their authentic self, and then they can do their best work.
That's right.
And that's really what we believe, versus, all right, everyone has to write all of their emails this way, and every statement needs to be finished with this, and then you fit everyone into a box. it's like that box doesn't fit anyone, let alone it certainly doesn't fit everyone.
Well, yeah, and I mean, just think about this, right? There's this, this buzzword of inclusivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is sort of an aspect of the shape of your company's culture. But that inclusivity, like for it to have value, is based on the assumption that there is sort of net benefit to diversity of thought or diversity of background or diversity of perspectives, right?
This is a great tie into our diversity series.
Yeah. It's a great series.
It was a natural. It naturally tied in.
And people should really check that series out because it's excellent.
It's a great series. But like everyone wants to talk about inclusivity and diversity and all this stuff. Well, if you don't have the other side of the coin working, which is an environment or a culture that allows people to be their authentic selves, then you're never even going to, you can talk about it all day, put up a bunch of posters. I mean, until people feel comfortable letting their sort of diverse or unique perspective out, then you're never going to achieve that diversity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, your perspective is welcome here as long as it fits into these 5 criteria.
This tiny little box.
Yeah, and like we definitely have criteria. We have values that we live, but those values are flexible to people living out in their position with their background, with their personality.
That's right.